Okay, so I'm here with Benny the Butcher, who's going to be fighting this weekend for another title against a very good competitor. I must say, it was a fight that was supposed to happen at Cage Conflict. It's got pushed back onto this show. So, how are you feeling? How are you? It's fight week, not long to go. How have you been since the last time I spoke to you?
Yes, I'm feeling good, feeling probably the fittest I've ever been. I'd say I'm probably the strongest I've ever been. Everything's going well, everything's going perfect. It's probably been the best fight week. It's probably been one of the best comps I've had for not getting these stupid injuries, I've always picked up wee injuries here and there, and I think I haven't had one really. So I think this has been my best fight camp, and the fight week, because weight's not an issue. I'm not even really cutting weight at all. I'm still be this week's been a gift. I usually hate fight week. I'm in the depths of despair come fight week, knowing I'm there that hard and cut a lot of weight, whereas now I'm just like, it's easy, you know.
Yeah, and one of the fights that I seen you in where you didn't have to cut much weight was obviously your last fight. And
Yeah.
I thought, and I'm going to be honest with you, I thought that the difference, because you fought at two different weight classes, that he might be stronger than you, but that proved not to be the case. Do you feel not cutting the weight, actually, you're stronger, you perform better?
I don't know if it's to do. I always find cutting the weight just does my cardio a bit. I don't know about my strength. I think I used to be a big fat shake, like, to be honest with you. So I think I've just kept a lot of strength from carrying about all that weight. And then I used to do like a lot of deadlifts and squats all the time. And I was lifting heavy, like I would have been lifting, like 240 kilograms and all. Wouldn't lift that now, like, but I think I've kept a lot of the strength from that. So I think just even the way just up a weight class, I think it just gives me that wee bit extra.
Yeah, no, 100%, because that was a fantastic fight. And like that's the last time I've seen you fight, and you have fought. Obviously, in between that, we're just going to touch on it slightly. You had an issue with a weight cut, because I think it's
Yeah.
important for people who are doing weight cuts that if there's anything that they can gain from this, or any experience, or if they take anything away from this, beneficial, and you change maybe someone's thinking on it or whatever. But you went into, I remember, obviously you were going to fight Sean Kelly on Chaos. You had a bad wake up. It was very concerning for everybody at the time. Talk to us about that. You don't have to go, you can go into as much or as little detail as you like.
So basically, I had a wee bit to cut, like, but it's not. I've cut more weight before than what I was cutting that time. So anyway, I ended up cutting the weight. Well, trying to cut the weight anyway. So I was doing the bath with the wraps, and I felt terrible. But if I had agreed that weight, so I was making that weight, or I was gonna end up near Dan trying to make it, which ended up happening. So I remember getting into the bath for the last time. I was out of the time limit, and I only had like a kg to go. And Stephen got in contact with uh, Jason, and Jason says, listen, if he has an hour still, because it was out of the time limit, but you have that wee extra hour after the weigh-ins. So I was trying my hardest to make it, and then I was with a guy I work with and train with, Kai. He's only young too, he's only 18. He was helping me do it, and he says, I got in the bath and said it was being weird. I can't remember any of it. I got out of the bath, apparently, back naked, and Stephen came round and I started trying to wrestle both of them. Like, apparently I just went weird. Like, I think I dropped first. I think I dropped to the ground and then bounced up and started basically attacking them. You know what I mean? I can't remember any of it. And then I think Kai says he was trying to stop me from swallowing my tongue. He says I tried to bite his finger off and all. I think I just went into full survival mode. And then I woke up. I think I woke up 3 days later in the hospital in intensive care. And then I ended up having to stay there for, I think it was about 2 weeks in total. I was in the hospital. I think it was like my liver and my kidneys both started to shut down. I think it was, whatever way the scale works, I was one from having to have one of them bags for the rest of my life. Is it a cut? I can't even know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a mad enough time. I can't remember it, to be honest. I actually woke up and said to the nurse, did I get knocked out? And she went, no, I'd thought Sean had knocked me out or something in chaos, because I genuinely couldn't remember it. And then that's what I said to my mum when my mum was up. I says tag Sean and make sure or see how he got or make sure he got a fight because I was raging about that, the fact that I thought he wouldn't have had a fight then. Do you know what I mean? Because it was on the day. It would have been hard to get a replacement, but lucky enough he did. And then so after that, it was just 2 weeks in hospital. It was a bit of a melt, to be honest, because it was in ICU for a full week. You can't get out or anything, so you're just stuck in the same four walls. Whereas I got moved to Antrim Hospital, and then my mates and all, and coaches and teammates were coming up, and then I was able to go outside, and I was sitting outside for like 4 hours a day. My mates were coming up, and we were just talking shit. It was all right, but apart from that, it was traumatizing for my mum and dad. No, like I think they thought I was going to die. And my girlfriend, they were in bed, like, whereas I can't even remember any of it, so it doesn't really. Like people have said to me, like, how are you now after being like that? And I can't remember it, so it doesn't really affect me that way. You know, because obviously I can't physically remember any of it happening, so it's not affecting me mentally or anything like that.
Yeah, 100%. Like that. For your family more so because they would have been there through the days you were unconscious and stuff like that as well. But like waking up though, like I said, and you're thinking, it just shows that it sounds like you did go into survival mode. Did they say?
Yeah.
Did they say any particular reason? Because, like you said, you've cut the weight before. Was it just like a freak thing that happened that just happens every once in a while, or was there?
They didn't really say anything about it. They just says, what did they say? They just says it can happen from cutting weight because you're so dehydrated and all. But I think, see, because I had a bit of cut, I done a wee small cut the day before, and I never ever do that. I usually just cut it all in the once, and I haven't found out. Stephen even says he thinks it was because of that. So he does, but at the same time, it could have had a wee cold or anything. You know, there could have been anything, just that wee extra thing to push you over the edge.
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to say we were all glad, obviously, when we found out you were okay. It was a scary thing for not obviously just your family and your partner more so, but all of kind of in the MMA community because I would have been talking.
That's another thing I was going to say. See the amount of people that, you know, everyone in the MMA community usually kind of, you have each other on Instagram, even if you don't really know each other. See the amount of people texting me, making sure I was all right. I was a wee bit overwhelmed by it. You know, people I've never spoke to before in my life were texting me, making sure I was all right. And I thought of myself at that time, I was like, it's a good community to be a part of, even if we do go on and try and rip each other's heads off. Like,
yeah, 100%. But like that, you go in, you do that, you know, it's a sport, it's all about respect. And like those people, the fighters, no, they probably know it could easily just as happen to them. It's scary. Yeah. It's scary for them as well to see that happening in the community. But like I said, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're back fighting because me and you obviously have met up at shows. Akuma was the first time I think I seen you in person since then, and it was a pleasure. We had a good chat there, and I was looking forward to this week because I knew this well. It was originally supposed to be the first time. So once that happened, like, was there a thought that you wouldn't fight again? But from talking to you, I don't believe that was ever the case once you knew you were fit and healthy.
The one of the first things, because obviously they had me, you know, I was on like doped up. I didn't really know what was going on as much. But as soon as it was back to normal, that's the first thing I asked. I was like, am I going to be able to fight again? And they went, yeah, you just have to leave it for a wee while. And I says, like, how long? And they says a couple of months and you should be all right. Just need to be careful with it. But I think my my mum didn't really want me to fight again. I says to her, there's no chance I'm not fighting again. Like, I love it. She would just be, she's obviously just worried about it, like, but because I had to go for a few brain scans and stuff, but they've all came back fine. So I'm good to go. Like a new man.
Good to go, and it's good to see you back. And this fight is one that was exciting 4K's conflict. Like, unfortunately, it didn't happen. It's been pushed back. It is, you're kind of two of the top guys around there.
Yeah.
Weight class, because a lot of people have kind of exited it, gone on to pro from like the likes of Jess Paolo, Brian Manning, kind of at that one. I'd say that would have been a fun fight. Now that I would have liked maybe yourself and Manning, been a good one. But you've got Matthew, who he had a loss and he came back very, very well in his last fight. What do you make of him as opponent, and what you make it? How excited are you for this fight to happen on this weekend?
I think he looks good. He looks like he has good power behind him. He looks like the type of fighter I want to fight. He's not really. He just wants to get in there and scrap. You know, throws a bit wild, like, and that's what I like. But because I can throw a bit wild too, and I think it'll make for like a quite exciting fight. But he does. He seems like good enough. I never really watch people's fight. When I find out I'm fighting someone, I'll watch one of their fights. I'll go on and see like what fight they've won most recently and watch it. But he seems to be good enough. Like, he seems to be like he wants to stand and bang too.
Yeah, and that is an exciting style, but like there is other ways, like the slams I seen you do when you fought Garrett that time as well were unbelievable. The wrestling as well, and I think the ground game is very underrated. I think a lot of people want to stand him, but I love it when it goes everywhere. But
Yeah.
You talked about just watching the last fight. Is that because fighters change so much, especially at amateur? Like if you look at 3 fights ago yourself to now, you're probably not a completely different fighter, but there's going to be the bounds of improvement there. Is that why you just look at the last one?
That's why I just look at the last one. Because if you say you have your first fight after a year, the amount of improvement you make after 1 year, even in amateur, is scary. It's a bit different when you go on the pro and you've been doing it a while. You will be improving, but it's going to kind of level out a bit. But so I always just look at the last fight, because what's the point of me watching him fight, say, 2 years ago when he's like fresh on the amateur scene? It's not really the stuff he's going to be doing, and that he might not be doing it anymore. So, like the mistakes he'd be making, he probably wouldn't make the same mistakes.
Exactly, and like that, even to his last fight, he could be a completely different fighter or do different things. You're better off just like that. Obviously, I presume you've just been focusing on yourself and improving kind of your game. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you what your game plan would be, but I would assume you're going in with a game plan, or do you just like to feel it out and use fight IQ while you're in there?
I've never run in with a game plan. I just go and see what happens. You can't just know where it's going. With Gareth, if I wasn't even going to try and take him down, I was planning on standing with him, and then I realised how big he was, and he was tall, like. But when I was in there, he was touching me. When I was trying to touch him, couldn't, and he was still able to catch me. So I thought I needed to take it there. So every time I go in, I just say figure it out and see what happens.
Yeah, because like that, people, it's like what Mike Tyson says. You go in, you get punched in the face, and it changes completely. If you go with a plan and just say you're expecting Garrett to do X, Y, or Z, and they don't do that, then I would presume you might freeze in your brain and go, "Well, what do I do?" Whereas you have your own style, you feel it out, and you take it from there. But what's the excitement levels like to get back in the cage after the year you've had?
Oh, I can't wait! I'm actually buzzing. I wanted to actually fight. I was hoping to try and get on Cage Gladiator 2 as well. I just wanted to get as much fights as I could because I'm back fit and healthy. So I just can't wait to get in. It was a bit of kick in the teeth, obviously not being able to fight in cage conflict, because I love fighting on cage conflict. It's nice and handy for me. It's in Belfast. It's 10 minutes up the road. And I just wanted to fight. And then when that happened, I was like, oh, God's shite. Like, and then Stephen had been trying to get me fights. He tried to get me a fight on Cage Gladiator, Danny Cork. I don't think anyone could get anyone. And then he said to me about and then so I got on it, and then I found out it was against Matty, and then I was happy enough with that. So I was.
Yeah, it was when I seen the fight made, I was like, this is a great scrap. And then I was like, why is this so familiar? And then I went back and looked, and I was like, this is supposed to. And then I think I text you and said, is this happening twice or what? And then obviously I'd realized what happened. But I think your fighting championship is a fantastic promotion, and obviously a chance to get another belt. Does the belt mean as much to you, or is it just fighting the best guys? And this is not being disrespectful to any belt, because Decky says himself he doesn't think the amateur belts mean much, but it's more about the opponents it brings.
The way I look at it is, I think a lot of you can hide a bit more if you're not fighting for belts. You can fight people who maybe, if they aren't at that level on the amateur scene, you can get away with fighting people who aren't on your level. Whereas if you're fighting for belts, you're having to fight the top guys that are in the amateur scene. Do you know that way? So I just look at it there. It's nice to get the belt. Do you know what I mean? The first one I won, if I felt on top of the world. But then when I won the second one, it was just obviously you're buzzing about it. It's you just want a belt, you're happy, but it's like amateur record. I don't think an amateur record really matters. It's pro, because at the end of the day, if you're a pro fighter and you have a terrible record, you're not going to say to someone, "Oh, I know, but I was undefeated at amateur." Do you know what I mean? That way.
Yeah,
I'd rather say to someone, my amateur record wasn't shape, but I'm saying like 5-1 at pro here. It sounds better.
exactly. He's if he ever sees me, he's probably going to kill me. But Kieran Clark is an example I always give. He was 13-10, so he was nearly 50-50. What's he now?
Yeah.
10-0, 9-0.
Yeah.
Like, it shows those 10 losses he had benefited him going forward. And like that, when you're like yourself, when you're fighting the best guys, and you might win, you might lose, but if you're picking up something from every fight, so whether you win or you lose, ultimately that's going to help going pro. And like I like what you're saying is there's nowhere to hide fighting for belts. You're always going to get, because if they put you against someone who's a 0-0, let's say if you won the belt, everyone's going to scream bloody murder. Do you know that sort of way? It's not going to be let happen that sort of a way. But no, it's going to be good to see you this weekend. I know you're not obviously looking past your opponent this weekend, but going forward next year, what kind of activity levels you like, or would you like, or are you just looking to just put this to bed, enjoy Christmas, and decide that next year?
No, I always like to have a bit of a plan. I never like to plan ahead too far, but I want to win this belt, and then I'll have I'll have a week or two off for Christmas. I'd never like taking too much time off. I'll enjoy Christmas with my family and my girlfriend and stuff. And then I want to get straight back at it. But I think I'm maybe going to go pro next year. I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I was talking to Sean Kelly, actually, and he said he'd agreed to fight at professional because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Thing. And would that hinge on not the outcome of this fight, but the performance in this fight?
Because I've been out, I just wanted to get another amateur fight out of the way. I actually, that's why I wanted as much as possible, because I usually am quite active. Like, I think it wouldn't have been that long ago I had my first fight, maybe 2 years ago, in November. I think that's when I had my first fight. So, and I've always been quite active. If I haven't been doing MMA, I've had a boxing fight or a kickboxing fight. So, this is the longest I've ever went without a fight since I've started fighting. So I just wanted to get back in there, because I think it does make a difference taking the time off. Because as much as you're sparring and all, it's not the same as being in there. You're not hitting people 100%.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, obviously, because I don't fight, but I'm assuming people say ring rust isn't real, ring rust is real. I think it depends on the person, but like that live, I could train with you all day, every day, but if I never have a fight and you've had like when I go into that experience, like there's so many different factors in it. When we're sparring, obviously we go hard, but I'm not going to try to kill you. You're not going to try to kill me. Whereas you're in that position in the fight, there's this different emotions, adrenaline levels, different things that is, and I think ring rust would be a thing. So obviously, I think you need to get in, see how this fight goes, and after that, you and obviously Stephen are the best people to decide what happens going forward. But I'm really looking forward. I'm so glad that you are back. You are fit and healthy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again in person and seeing you fight in person this weekend.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Why are you going to be there?
Yes, I am going to be there. I just sorted out.
That makes it even better. So it does. That makes it even better.
So I've got I'm not sure. I've been talking to a guy. I'll double check and make sure. I'll text him today, but some guy reached out to me because people wanted me to do post-fight interviews. I said it's too hard with trying to go back and forward. I put the yoke up. Someone actually reached out to me. They're in uni doing journalism and kind of videography and stuff. So we might have post-fight interviews there as well. So I can't see that, but we might do. But is there anything you want to say before you go? I want to thank you so much, especially because it's so close to the fight day.
Yeah. Just shout out to my coaches and all my teammates, and shout out Sigma Fitness for my strength and conditioning. Keep me a big, strong boy, so he is. And thank you for what you're doing, Davey, with our wee community. That's it, really.
No, I appreciate the words from you. You've had great things to say to me and about me. So I appreciate you. You appreciate me, and I will see you on Sunday. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, Davey, I'll see you then.